been a very long week. It's been a fine week, but it's been a long week. Very busy. Lots of crazy things to do. And a lot of jobs to go through, lots of little stuff. You'd be amazed how it adds up. One of the things, though, that's fun, and one of the things that keeps me going, doing this, despite the sort of all the work that's got going on here, is how much I enjoy doing this. This really is terribly, terribly fun. And every now and then I get to do an unusual project that has sort of more twists and turns than like a standard restoration, and it has some real like challenges in it. And so I had the opportunity to do to restore a watch for one of my customers who has picked up a lot of things from me over the time that we have worked together. And he wanted a watch with a specific caseback date. He specifically wanted one from April 1974. And I was like, well, I'll look. I don't know, but I'll look. And so I went through, and lo and behold, I found one. I couldn't believe it. So I found this watch for him. I had found the watch with the caseback date, and I showed him what it was. And I said, hey, I have it. It's April 1974, but it's a bit rough. I've considered fixing this, but I've always held off. But if you want to go ahead, we can go ahead. Sorry, Milo's talking to me. And he said, okay, go for it. And I was like, here we go. So let's break, and I'll show you the before picture, and then we'll look at the after picture, okay? Hang on. This was the watch that I showed him. And I was like, well, it's got, it's got potential, but it's a little challenged. And he looked at it, and I'm like, we've got some loom damage, and some of the loom came off on the dial, and there's some corrosion stuck to the end of the hour hand here, and there's some more corrosion stuck here on this chrome date window, and I'm not quite sure how this is all going to come together. We've got this weird sticky junk on the case, and it's just a little rough. And he said, it's the date that I want, and I think that you can do it, so let's go for it. And I was like, okay. So it's always fun to deal with this because, honestly, going into something like this, you don't know what you're going to end up with. You don't know what you're going to find. I wasn't sure if this white material was going to come off, if this was damage to the dial, or if this was just loom. Because when you get water in like this, it sometimes can liquefy the loom, and then it'll paste itself all over the dial. Sometimes, though, it's damage. I mean, it's hard to tell, but you could see that we had white loom out here, and that generally it was okay. You just had this weird rust out here, and the rust here as well. It just was going to be a challenge to see what I came up with. So it was fun, and I had his full support, and so I went for it. Let's look at it. Okay, let's look at it. I showed it to Sabrina, and she was like, wow. And I was like, oh, come on, it's not that good. She was like, oh, no, you should do a video about this. And I was like, oh, hang on just one second, this is fighting me. Anyway, I'm proud of it. Let's see. I think it looks decent. Okay, so you remember what it looked like before? This is what it looks like now. It's the same dial, same hands, everything else like that. It was very fun. It was rewarding to do this. As I've seen before, thankfully, that rust was external that was on here. It was just sitting on top. And so, ditto for the I'll set this forward so you could see what it looks like. Ditto for the big chunk of black and rust that was on here on this date window. There's still a little bit of discoloration, but it's mostly gone. The white stripes on here, I was able to clean up. You can kind of see where it was in relief, maybe, but that's about it. I did reloom the dial and hands, and that's with my Vintaloom. So that glows a little bit, not a ton. This is a 6119 6400 with a French English day wheel. And this is the later type movement, so it's got, of course, dual language and day and date. Quick set, unlike, say, the earlier 6119 earlier 6119As, which are date quick set, but then day you have to rock over midnight. This is another one I redid, actually for the same person. These are his watches. Did these both for him. Anyways, that's pretty cool. So it's always so rewarding to bring back a watch like this that was so far down. To bring it back and give it life and make it live again, and give it some wrist time. And I think that's just, it's a wonderful privilege to be able to do that. Anyway, I just thought that was fun. I don't want you people to think I'm showing off or being like, I'm so cool. You know, I'm glad to have been able to bring back a watch like this. Bring back both of these. They were both pretty well challenged. This one had to get jewels in it, Harbor jewels, as well as the relume. But the service went pretty cleanly. It was nice. These 6119s are fun because they've got two diafix settings in them, one in the train bridge, one in the main plate, and it makes it so they're just a little fun. They're a little Y-shaped spring, and you sort of have to really tuck them in there, and it's a challenge. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to pause and we'll go back to the thing. Yeah, it's fun. It's just, I mean, a lot of the reason I do this still, and that it doesn't really feel like a job, is that I enjoy it so much. It's so nice. I mean, one of the core things that I've always loved my whole life was bringing, old bed machines back to life. I told a story to somebody today about somebody giving me, back in the 80s, somebody in a class at CSU with me, he basically out of the blue, we used to talk all the time, and he said, hey, I've got an old VW Bug, and it's the engine's blown, you can have it if you want. And I was like, okay, sure, because I grew up doing bugs with my dad. And I go over there, and it's a yellow 1959 VW Bug. It's been externally repainted, nice job. The interior is all brand new. And the guy was like, I just can't deal with it, the engine's blown. So I got it running somehow. It was running on 2 cylinders and smoking like a heavy bomber. But it was, I got it running, got it home. My dad had all kinds of engine sets in the garage, so I was able to, and he taught me a lot. So I was able to jack the car up and drop the engine myself, and pulled the cylinder heads and the sleeves and the pistons out, and it was one of the number 3 piston, which they always heat up a little bit because they're underneath the oil cooler in those old cars, and it came out in pieces, literally chunks. And so I grabbed a matched set of good used parts off the shelf and bolted it back together. I had already drained the oil. I flushed out the case and put it back in, did this in an afternoon, got it running, and there it was back to life. It was so fun, and I drove that car for an entire summer. And I wish I hadn't sold it. It was a nice car, not a speck of rust on it, nice car. We used to go camping in it with my girlfriend at the time. Anyway, but there it is. It's so nice. I mean, this thing was just like this project watch, this just thing, and it was a daunting challenge, but it was lots of fun. It's so nice to overcome these challenges to bring a watch back to life. What I'm waiting on now are bracelets. Larry Bellini of Uncle Seiko, he recreated the bracelet types for this one specifically. It's also a Bellmatic bracelet, and they're solid stainless steel, and they're fantastic quality. They're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things. But so I'm getting 2 of these. It's not quite right. This one had a different kind of bracelet, but it's impossible to find. So that's about it. Isn't that nice? I'm excited. Anyway, it's lots of fun. There's going to be some new things coming up. A couple people want to do interviews with me, so that should be fun. Got to get that set up and going. And I'm hoping to actually set up an interview too with Larry. It'd be nice to be able to talk with him, and we could all talk about stuff. And I don't know, that's about it. What a long week. Okay. Well, I'm going to say thank you for watching, and until next time, we'll see you.